Hey everyone, welcome to the 3GIQ podcast. I'm joined here with my co-host Frank Gow and our special guest Mike Pannone. Now, Mike Pannone, he is known in the recon community when he first started in the military. After he left recon, he went to Army Special Forces, and then he finished his career out with Delta Force. He now owns his own company, CTT-Solutions, and he is well known within the tactical realm of teaching both tactical marksmanship and competition marksmanship. He's well regarded. He's one of those individuals who is humble enough to go and get outside instruction and still, be relevant within the game. So, Mike, if you could, please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about yourself.
Thanks, man. Mike Pannone. Yeah, I started out in the reconnaissance community. Spent 6 years, my first 6 years in the Corps. I went straight out of infantry school to reconnaissance course and then went right to it. So I was straight recon baby all the way through. For 6 years in the Corps, then went over to SF, and then from SF went to the unit, went to Delta. I ate a breaching charge, so this one's made out of Lexan. I medically retired, and then I started going overseas in 03. I helped stand up the Air Marshal program first in 02, and then I started going overseas 03, 04, 05, doing high-risk contracting, culminating at the end. I was a ground combat advisor to the Corps again, which is really interesting because I was wearing digis, carrying a rifle, doing the biz with the Corps again, which is where I started in 05 in Anbar. So that's that side of my career. And then I helped a couple guys. Like I helped Viking Tactics stand up their business. I was his first senior instructor, and then opened up my own. And ever since then, since 2009, I've been doing my thing. So I'm Kayla's dad too. That's my big job.
Hell yeah. So obviously we've kind of already went over that you've been recon, SF, and Delta. So whenever you first came in, what was marksmanship training like throughout your time in the military, and near the end, and also near the end of your career? What did you ever see a shift to competitive shooting, practical shooting, and improving the skills of yourself and those you worked with?
Yeah, absolutely. It started out the typical, going to Paris Island and then going to the infantry course. And then that was all snapping in. That was all precision based. What I know now, and looking in hindsight, is that there was no emphasis whatsoever put on speed, and there was no emphasis whatsoever put on weapons handling. Okay, none. Reloads, none like that. Running your gun. So that was the legacy stuff. That was bullseye. That was traditional Marine Corps. My dad was a Marine. He was in 3.5 in Korea. Like traditional Marine Corps rifle range marksmanship was our thing. We're known for that worldwide. Everybody knows Marines can fucking shoot. Now the applicability of it is where it started to suffer. When I went to the reconnaissance community, we had shooting packages. We had a more action-based time when the Maritime Special Purpose Force came up and started doing VBSS and that kind of stuff. That changed it, and then Force started really pushing the shooting packages, and then that translated into battalion. So that I started to see a change, but that was intra Marine Corps, and that was a specialized unit within the infantry component, which reconnaissance at the time still was part of. And then when I went over to SF, it still was it was very baseline. There wasn't really a very good marksmanship training in regular SF. In the CIF, the Commanders and Extremist Force, they had the CQB related or the direct action type of marksmanship. That began to change in the 90s. That's when you really started to see an increase in the marksmanship side. When I went to the unit in 97, we had pro shooters. We had Rob Latham, Jerry Barnhart, Frank Garcia. We had all these guys come in, and there was an emphasis on that style of practical shooting, on balance of speed and accuracy, because it was directly applicable to the job. So you really saw the change. I saw the change personally, coming from being in 2 different services and being in effectively 3 special units. I saw it change in the 90s. It was relatively distinct, to the point where I could take my pistol and my rifle, and I could shoot matches on my actual issued rifle from the unit. I could take it and I could box it up and I go shoot matches wherever. I just had to bring back, a leaderboard saying, hey, I competed, here's my score, all that. They supported that because they understood how important it was. And that was manifest in their willingness to bring in, competition shooters, professional competition shooters, every Aztec cycle we had. So that was, to me, that's when I saw the big change. And it has gone exponentially better over there. I know at the unit, it's gone way into that performance shooting, bringing in the best performance shooters in the world. And it's been a huge benefit. I see the guys now that come out of there, they can bang, they can shoot. And it's because the focus is go as fast as you can go, specified level of accuracy that we want, as fast as you can humanly go.
Yeah, it's good to hear. It's good to hear that the special force community is really taking the lessons from practical shooting. But I would like to shift the lens to large military, like big Marine Corps, big Army.
Okay.
So that's full of, I would say, risk averse power brokers and decision makers. Who might look at practical shooting. And Matt, the first time I met Matt, we were dealing with this. We were dealing with a gunner who did not like practical shooting and didn't want it on his range and continually messed with the way that McEast was being run. So what is the best way to sell practical shooting to those people in your eyes?
Okay, that's a good I've got a good example of that. When I came back from Iraq in 05 with the Asymmetric Warfare Group, I was on a rifle course with the 82nd. I think we spent 38 weeks out of 52 at the 82nd training everybody for the surge, back surge in 07, 08. And it was all former unit guys, and we brought basically practical shooting to them. We had 40 paratroopers every week for 38 weeks. And the way that we demonstrated, because there were a lot of people in the Army. The Army, I mean, I'm partial obviously to the Corps, but when it comes to the infantry side, they're relatively close. The 82nd and regular Marine units are very comparable, and so what we did is we put them out there and we showed them what they could do. We had some standardized drills and stuff they shot at the beginning, and then at the end of the week they come out and watch them shoot, and they were stunned at how well these guys could do, how much faster they shot, how much more effective they were. Mean rounds on target in the amount of time, but you got to quantify it. That's what we saw. We had to demonstrate. You could talk the game all you want, and they're not going to want it. They don't want to play that. They're just like, no, we don't want to do that. Like we talked about going from a 25 meter zero to a 50 meter zero, just changing that. And then we showed them the max ordinate. If you run, standard height optics and you zero at 25, at 100, you're like 7 inches high. Okay. And so I watched guys overseas line dudes up and pull the trigger and miss shots that I knew they were going to get. And it was because they didn't even understand the ballistics of the gun, the people training on it. And so we had to show them, listen, if you zero at 25, there's a visual variance that you have. You're not going to get as precise as zero because you're shooting at a shorter distance. So what appears to be just a little bit off center, now when you back it out at distance, it's far right, left, up, down. It's got to be verified at distance. And then we showed them what the max ordinate was. 0 at 25, here's a good zero. Now we're going to shoot at 100. Look how high it is. So if somebody sticks their head over a wall, you got a clean shot. You break a perfect shot, it goes over their head. You did everything right, but you weren't trained enough. And that was the application of ballistics on the battlefield wasn't taught. The understanding of it, that stuff we had to show them. You can't just explain it. You just can't. It's worthless. You're talking yourself. So that's the way you get to the regular military, because we did it with the 82nd. We showed them, we changed the culture in that organization in a lot of ways, at least in that gap in time, because guys could genuinely shoot effectively in a way that they couldn't on Monday. When they left on Friday, they were combat effective.
Now that's good to hear, because I remember whenever I was in Iraq back in 2005, prior to going there, I had iron sights on my rifle. Then whenever we get in country, hey, stick this RCO on your rifle. Okay, so what does all this stuff inside the optic mean? Like, they didn't train us on any of that. Like, hey, 0 at 100 yards, you're good. Okay, so I can hit things at 100 yards. What does everything else mean? And it took it, like any big military, big organization, it takes a while for the information to get down. And it took a couple of years. It was in 2007, whenever I went through a course with retired gunner Richard Lawler, I think he was working for Trigicon at the time, or he was a contractor teaching. He was teaching the RCO, and that's whenever, so two years time span goes, and I'm finally learning how to run this optic. And it's like, what the fuck? Why is it taking so long? And I think we're kind of in the same phase now. We just switched over to the squad common optic, essentially a Trigicon AccuPower. And it's like, well, are we going to teach people how to use this properly? And, time will tell.
Yeah, here's a little kind of a little vignette about that, about just strapping optics on guns. Guys came in from the 82nd. I remember we were working with one of their battalions. Came in and we had a whole block of instruction, because I was one of the guys that I taught half of it, and it was the use of the reticle on like an RCO, basically on their ACOGs. This is how you use it. This is how you range stuff. We had steel at different distances, and they could They could look at the reticle, look how it's calibrated on an E-type and all that. Got it. Had them shoot it at the distances. Look, if you super elevate using the reticle, the Christmas tree, you're getting good hits. We had steel out there. We had guys spot before. It was we set it up like you're supposed to, right? So they're like, wow, that's cool. Ran them through it. They shot everything. So you guys understand it? Yeah. Okay. Everybody get on the back line. We set up a stage. Okay. With steel, shooter ready, stand by, beep, and they freaking lost their mind. They run out. They put the chevron in the middle and shoot at 500. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, don't you understand it? And what we realized is you can explain it, and they'll understand it, and they'll shoot it slow. If you don't practice it and you don't train on it, it is worthless. You have a capability in theory that's not executable. And that's where the training piece, like, you got to go out and train. And the only way that you're going to figure out what guys are going to do under even a modicum of stress is to put them under it. Like, you know, on a sedentary range shooting, everybody's freaking wide earp. But you start running around and you're wheezing, and you just ran 100 yards and had to crawl under a truck, and now you got to shoot, 2, 4, and then 500-yard targets. Like, your mind is either going to go to what it was trained on, or it's going to melt, and their mind's just melted. And then once we started running them through it a couple times in a day of run and gun stuff, then they got it. But you can't strap equipment on without the training, and that is contrary. Run and gun stuff is contrary to full sight. Back to what we were originally talking about. And they don't, you're just running around shooting. No, that's how we fight wars and stuff. That's how infantry moves. They run around and they maneuver and they shoot. So the applicability of it was hard for them to understand, because all they saw were, oh, my men are out on the range shooting, like they're qualifying. It's the prism of marksmanship is viewed, okay, or marksmanship is viewed through the prism of qualifications, and that is like a fundamental problem.
Yep, it's a capabilities gap that I think that we all have. And me and Frank were talking about this on another podcast, but it's almost like marksmanship is a check in the box, and there's no quality control. You have expert sharpshooter and marksman. Hey, you qualified, you're good. What does that mean, though?
Yeah. It's like you see the same kind of thing in law enforcement. It just means, like, effectively, it means legally we can give you a rifle and we're covered. That's it. It's not. There isn't a real reasonable level of skills. The fact that there's very little speed. I mean, I'm sure that it's changing now, but there should be speed in there. There should be reloads in there. Guys, I had guys that were, when I taught the malfunctions block at the 82nd, I had guys that couldn't clear malfunctions. I had guys in Iraq when I was out with them. I had a guy have a malfunction. Long story short, anyway, I cleared a malfunction for somebody. A bolt override double feed that happened because they had shit magazines. When I came back, the company commander's like, hey man, I heard you hooked one of my boys up, when you guys were doing the biz. So, like, what'd you do? And I said, oh, I just did this, and this. Showed him. And he goes, can you show my guys? And I went there and sat down with, each platoon just for a couple minutes. And it's like, they didn't know how to clear fucking malfunctions other than tap rack. They didn't. I'm like, this is it. This is your reserve parachute, dude. This is your main parachute and your reserve parachute all in one. And you have to be able to make it work no matter what. And, like, just banging it on the ground, banging the buttstock on the ground and mortaring it and hoping that works is not the answer. But there was no just a basic block of malfunctions. I could teach any Marine in an hour or less to clear every malfunction that can happen in that gun without tools, unless the gun is broken. If the gun can be cleared with your bare hands, I can teach them how to do it reliably. Fuck, I can teach them how to do it blindfolded in an hour. We all should have got that, and none of us did. And so it's like, it's crazy to me.
So it's funny, because whenever I was over in Israel back in 2016, we were training our company, minus was training with their counterterrorism unit. And I tell you what, like, these guys, for as young as they are, you're talking about guys who are between 19 and 23 years old. They are counterterrorism instructors and they're operators. And, the amount of knowledge and skill that these young guys have, at such a young age, it's mind blowing. And you talk about malfunctions, like, that's one of the first lessons we learned whenever we were over there. They had this, I can't remember exactly what they call it, but it was a fuck you stick, I think is what they called it. And all they would do is they would take that stick and they would impose a malfunction by, just lightly touching the bolt and causing the gun to go out of battery, causing a double feed, causing brass over bolt. And it was up to you to get that gun back in the fight. And we did that for a freaking hour. And it was annoying, but you know what? People learned how to clear out their own malfunctions. And, you know, it's like, why aren't we applying a lot of these same principles to what we do now?
Can I talk to that specific technique?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the flaw in that. All right. I don't do that and I don't advocate it. I understand what it's intended to do and it succeeds to a certain extent, but I do not at all advocate it. Here's why. One, mentally, I know it's coming. As soon as I see the stick, I know it's coming. I know I'm about to have a malfunction. My brain is already loaded for that. It's already set up going, okay, something's going to come. Overwhelmingly, I can predict what it is.
Yep.
Okay. That's one. So it's not impromptu. I'm not learning about the gun in the firing cycle, not going into battery, that crunchy feeling versus the bolt slamming home. Okay. I'm denying myself the ability to learn what it feels like when my gun malfunctions. Because you know as well as I do, as you get further along, you be in the middle of a match and you can fire a shot and know that gun's not going to fire the next time. I can feel it.
Yep.
That shit's not right. Like, I know what right feels like. That ain't it. Okay. So you're denying the ability to learn that. One. Two, you're also conditioning people to allow things near their gun. You're conditioning people to allow someone to put something near their gun and disregard it. And that to me is a hinde. No. So I when I do it, I teach guys how to clear malfunctions and then just go out there and shoot, man. If your gun binds up, I'm going to see what you do. I'm going to see how you clear malfunction. I can replicate everything that can happen in that gun exactly the same way for everybody and have them clear it out. And once you know how to do it, everything is the same. Tap rack, replicate the loading sequence. If it doesn't work, unload the gun, make sure it's clear, let the bolt go forward. Metal on metal, day or night, tells me it'll go into battery, tap rack. So it's like, if I can load the gun and properly unload the gun, then I know how to clear every malfunction there. And I can teach that in 10 minutes. And it's like, and then in application, you have to recognize when the gun doesn't run, what to do. That's what's important. So it's like, you can put dummy rounds in, you could put brass, you could put empty brass in a magazine and have them shooting, because that usually gets fucked up and binds up in the gun worse. They'll figure it out. But there's only two answers: tap rack or unload the gun, make sure it's clear the way we were taught to unload the gun, remove source feed, lock the operating parts of the rear, charging handle forward. Okay, muzzle up, muzzle down, make sure it's clear, metal on metal, and then we're right back to tap rack. It's that easy. But it's like, so on the malfunction side, that's why I'm saying I could teach in an hour with breaks and bullshit time. I could teach a platoon of Marines to do that like nothing. But we have to, again, that stuff, we're talking about two different techniques, two different countries. It's cool either way. As long as you keep a fucking gun. The problem is that nobody here decided that was important before you went out to the rifle range to be able to run your gun. Like, I don't get it. I also, when I teach courses, and this came from teaching, dudes overseas with conscripts with a second grade education, we were doing JSETs. I look at it completely differently. I do not teach marksmanship first to beginner students. I don't give a shit. As long as you can break paper generally and you're safe, I want you to learn how to run the gun. I want you to learn how to load it, unload it, check status, clear, or whatever. I want you running that gun. I want you doing reloads. I want you manipulating the safety, all of that. Once you're capable of managing that gun, then we'll start talking about marksmanship. Because if not, it's especially prevalent with pistols. If you can't run the gun, you're not in 100% control of the gun, then there's an anxiety that you have, like, holy shit, I hope I don't make this freaking thing go boom when it's not supposed to. The freaking gun is going to put his boot in my ass. You're not thinking about shooting. You're thinking about not fucking up. Once you can run the gun properly, then we can talk about sights and trigger. So it's like, it's a different way to view it, but it works. And when you think about it, when we're all kids learning how to drive, we didn't get in a car and get on the friggin' highway. We drove around a parking lot where you can't run into anything and learn how to work all the pedals. When you can work all the pedals and the blinkers and all that, then you drive around town at 35 miles an hour. When you're good at that, then you can get on, a 55 mile an hour. Like, you learn to manage the device safely, then you can take in road conditions. It's the same methodology. So it's like, that's something as well that the military, the Marine Corps and the Army are the same about it. It's like, it's all about like accuracy. Accuracy, got to have, we're working on accuracy, and you got to, steady hold and all that. Dudes can't run their gun. They can't manage the freaking rifle properly. And they're trying to have them shoot at, 200, 300, 400, 500 meters. I'm like, we're missing a component block here that will make them more effective.
So kind of shifting gears, kind of back to competitive shooting. So how much success would you say you've had getting other active duty guys, like whether you were when you were active duty yourself or even after you left active duty, but how much success have you had getting those individuals in the military into competitive shooting? And is there ever a reluctance there? And if so, how have you overcome that reluctance?
Yeah, I've been able to get guys to, interested in it and all that, but they're always the guys that want to be good at it. They're guys that want to be a good, like, when I was freaking tiny dude, all I ever wanted to be was an infantryman. I wanted to be in the Marine Corps like my dad. I wanted to, go fight bad guys, that kind of shit. Like, I knew what I wanted to be and I wanted to be really good at it. And I got there, and when I thought I was good at it and I got tuned up by somebody, I wanted to be better at it. But there was an internal desire. I wasn't a minimum standard guy. Like, hey, you just, whatever training block we're doing, that's what I'm doing. I wanted to do better. I wanted to be better. I sought that out. And there's a lot of guys out there in the military that are like that, and they need to be mentored. You need to say, listen, they need to understand the applicability, because there's a lot of people, like you said, that are going to go, oh, that'll get you killed, or that's not applicable, or you don't need that, or you're like, you're talking to people that can't do it. Okay, so why are you talking to someone that doesn't know how to do what you intuitively realize is applicable, and listening to them? And I can explain it to them like all of us can. Like, say, listen, this is the balance of speed and accuracy is important. Everyone that has been open to learning and wanting to, every soldier, sailor, airman, Marine that I've ever talked to, and I explained it to them, every one of them's gone, fuck yeah, man, that's cool. Then they go out and shoot, like, this is fun. So now it's not only fun, but it's directly related to what you do. Like, your survivability is directly influenced by these skills. That said, the guys that aren't that into it, they're just like, I'm just not really not that into guns. I don't really want to shoot. I'd rather go freaking snowboarding. Not that there's anything wrong with snowboarding. I like it. I enjoy snowboarding. But the bottom line is, if you're an infantryman, you should put a little extra emphasis on the shooting piece if you're not getting as much as you know you should get. And so there's a desire piece of it that is, it's either easy to sell or impossible to sell.
Well, it's like I commonly tell people, okay, so you can get to the objective. You can do all that sweet, sexy tactical stuff. Cool story. What about whenever you get to the objective? Or what if you don't even get to the objective and you start getting engaged by an enemy? Mm-hmm. How do you fight through that? You have to be able to actively engage your target, run your gun, and hit them accurately enough with speed in order to get through, so you can get to your objective and accomplish the mission.
Once you're engaged, then it's shooting. Mm-hmm. Once you make contact, we're moving to the objective. We get hit on the way in. Once we make contact, there's maneuver and all that. I got it. There's some, but it's pretty straightforward. There's a lot of shooting going on. Like, if you can shoot good, I mean, and that was demonstrated in a couple big fights that freaking the Corps was in Fallujah. Guys could actually shoot noticeably better than their adversary, like way better. So they were plucking dudes like crazy with ACOGs at 175 yards around the corner of a building. Why? Because they could shoot. So at the point of delivery, the marksmanship piece, now once the fight starts, now we got to be able to shoot. Yep. Squirting bullets at people doesn't do anything. It actually emboldens them, because, like, these fuckers can't hit me. They'll come at you. You start dumping guys, and they're like, oh shit, I'm not gonna stick my head out the window because I'm freaking, Jarhead a block away is gonna take it off with a 30 or 20-inch gun. Like, so they don't understand. Like, it's not just because you have a tool, if you can't master it, it doesn't do you any good. And on the other side, once you're engaged, the shooting piece is huge. Like, you've got to be able to neutralize whatever threats are out there so you can move forward, so you can facilitate bounding and maneuver and moving the guns and moving the vehicles. But if you can't shoot, you're not getting it done. You're not earning your pay.
You're just a participant, right?
Yeah, you're just there. I was a participant. I was there. Get anything done? I was there. Like, that's why I tell people, participation doesn't equal proficiency. Just because you showed up doesn't mean you're any good at it. Just means you were there. Big thumb, thanks for showing up. But like, I saw the difference. I saw when I was an advisor in 05 doing with AWG. I saw different units, and I can't remember which one it was right now off the top of my head. I can't remember that I was out with. It was fifth or seventh. But anyway, it was rifle company I was out with. And their company commander had been a prior enlisted force guy, and they did a really good shooting package at the Palms. And those dudes could freaking bang. I remember seeing them in their test fire area, like shooting stuff the size of like soda cans at 100 yards. Like, I remember like distinctly going, damn, these brothers can bang. And the level of those guys would go out, like, you'd see them get ready to go out. They're like, hey, man, we're gonna go freaking throw down. Like, hey, man, Godzilla's on his way into Tokyo, bro. Here we go. Like, they were, and you could tell their confidence was so high, because like, if we get it, if you want to throw bullets back and forth, we got you. Like, let's go. And that lends itself to mission accomplishment, and it lends itself to survivability and safety. Everybody is better for it. The commander, if you're just looking purely from promotional perspective, if you're the commander and your guys are taking ground and winning battles, you're a good commander. You know what I'm saying? The guys on the ground, the better they shoot, the safer they are, the more they keep their freaking squad and their teams intact and unballistically altered. So everybody benefits from it. And I could see the difference between units that were really proficient and units that weren't as proficient. It was noticeable in their demeanor.
Yeah, awesome answer, man. Really well said. I want to switch gears to that podcast you're on with Ben Stager. I think you mentioned something to the effect that GM should only be able to become GMs through like the nationals level match bump.
Yes,
which I think
absolutely.
is an awesome concept. Do you think the accessibility of the GM card has kind of diluted its prestige?
Yes. I've watched people shoot classifiers. I shoot a classifier, one and done. Unless the apparatus, there's something wrong, like steel doesn't fall, then we calibrate it. Hey, it still wasn't calibrated right. Okay, get a reshoot. That's just the rules. But I don't go back to the shack and pay another $10 and shoot the classifier. And then, oh man, I dropped one. It would have been 100 or it would have been a whatever, and then go back and pay another $10. I've watched people shoot classifiers. The most I've ever seen somebody shoot a classifier 5 times. And they shot I remember watching a dude shot like a 36 and a 51 and a 29 and a fucking 76 and then shot 100. Like, I got 100. You're like,
no, you did it.
Every once in a while, a blind squirrel finds a nut. It's been dirtied up because people repeat classifiers. The scores are not. I mean, I know I got a pretty shitload of friends that are GMs, and they're like, dude, they're national level. They're competitive. Like, they're dudes in the nationals. Like, I can't step up and shoot a 100 on a classifier every time. Like, I can usually I can get in the 90s, like 90 and above. But I'm not just stepping up banging 100 classifiers because I'm a GM. It's not that way. And that's because guys shoot hero or zero with their hair on fire, and they shoot a 26 and they shoot 100 and they take the 100. And it's like, just the system. I think you should cap out at master. And if you're not winning, like at a minimum regional match, like area matches or regional matches, if you're not winning those, then you're not GM. Like, it is what it is. Some people can say, hey, whatever. But it's the classifier system has been dirtied up by people shooting classifiers outside of their capability and getting lucky. And I have watched it, and I know I'm not the only one.
Yeah, I've seen it too, man. If you're shooting it 5 times and you're paying, obviously, there's no difference. It's like a slot machine, right? You're just putting your quarter in until you hit all 7s. So back when I was in Lejeune, I put together a band of Marines and we would go out to USPSA competitions. I was just trying to expose them to practical shooting. And one of my obstacles with them was trying to get them beyond classifications, right? Like they were so focused. They were like, this is the only stage I care about in the entire match. And I have an idea of like what you're going to say to that. I'm just going to harken back to one of your earlier comments where you said marksmanship is viewed through qualifications. And I think people tend to look at labels, characterizations and be like, oh, I want to be at this level, whatnot. What would you say to a new shooter who expresses that opinion to you?
I would say that shoot to get better, shoot at the edge of your capabilities, because there is nothing cooler. And I know I doubt I'm the only one even on this cast. I have shot matches as a class shooter and beat GMs in matches. I have shot them as a master class shooter and beat GMs in them. Like, but I don't want to be a master class shooter getting beat by a B class shooter, because then I'm not really a master class shooter. Like, you want to be fighting, fighting people that are a weight class above you, not below you. And the people that are paper GMs are the people that show up, and you see them in a match, and you're like, I just tuned you like a fucking piano, bro, and you're a GM. Like, come on, man. Like, I remember out in California beating 2 guys that were GMs. This is those shit. They're shooting limited with badass fucking limcat guns and hand loads and shit. I was shooting a freaking P10. A CZ P10 with freaking Winchester white box. I'm like, I just beat 2 guys that are limited GMs. That's not possible. Like, I thought it was a typo. I'm like, no, they're GMs, but yeah, they just, they shot classifier. Like, the game, I'm like, you look silly. You look silly when you're 27th and you've got 3 or 4 A-class shooters and all of the master shooters above you. So I would say, look at your performance in the match. Stop looking at classifications. That's it. That is not, it's a fantasy. It doesn't mean anything if you can't perform. So if I just magically make you a GM, is that good now? Are you done? No, I want to win the match. The goal is to win the match. Everything else is freaking window dressing.
Yeah. You remind me of kind of what I told those shooters back at the time. I said something effective like, don't reach for the crown if you're not ready to sit on the throne. And you're exactly right. Like, if you're a GM getting beaten by lesser classifications, it makes you look stupid. And it kind of like you're the one, the tide just went out and you're the only one who wasn't wearing a bathing suit, you know?
Yeah,
So that's
exactly.
exactly
The
what that
goal
was.
should be, I mean, just because I get all spun up because I'm fucking fidgety and shit like that. But just tell them, just your goal is to win the match. The goal is to win the match, whatever match it is. If there are, 5 national level shooters in there, I just don't want to beat all of them. If I'm going to step on the line with Ben Steger and Joel Park and JJ Rakaz, and we're in the same squad. My goal when I step on the line is to win that stage. I don't care who's there. I'm going to shoot as good as I can because I want to win the stage. Will I win it? Chances are not very good, but I'm not going up there going, I hope I just don't suck really bad. I'm like, I'm going there to win the fucking stage. If I don't, hey, I gave it all I got. And if guys look at it that way, as opposed to like, I have this classification, you have that classification, the emphasis is in the wrong spot when you're looking at a bullshit paper classification. We're talking about guns and targets and timers right now, real time, just shoot.
Yeah, I'm all about it, man. Switching back to like practical shooting's applicability with like military guys who are actually out in the field. Have you ever seen practical shooting help someone who hasn't experienced combat, like process things faster, apply marksmanship in high like chaos and high intensity moments? Have you ever seen that yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You see people that shoot competitively, that learn how to fix problems because weird shit happens. They learn how to manage their gun. They learn how to keep track of targets, spatial orientation. It's not just pure shooting. You've got to remember where you are on the stage. You've got to have a plan. You've got to be able to adjust off the plan. I mean, I'm going to shoot this stage, and I know right here, I'm not going to do a reload because I'll have to do a static reload, but I have to hit that steel. So now I put pressure on myself because I'm going to hit that last piece of steel, slide lock as I run 5 yards to the next shooting position. I got time to do a reload and not lose anything, but I got to make that shot. So now I'm assessing what's my real skill. I've got a popper that I drop that activates another target. Can I shoot that popper, another paper, and then go back to the activator? Do I really know what I'm capable of doing? If I make a mistake, how do I fix it on the fly at a high rate of speed? Like, how do I recognize problems? All that stuff is like, that's all on display every match. And every match, I don't know, I learned something every single match. I screw something up. Every single match I go, I could have done that better, or I did that wrong. Or sometimes I go, wow, I actually know how to do that. Like, shit, man, that works. But you're learning how to run a gun at a high rate of speed and follow a plan that has to be adaptable. How could that possibly be wrong? Guys that shoot good on USPSA and with rifles and pistols, dude, that is directly applicable because it is a spatial perception and a weapons perception. I've got to know what's around me and I've got to know what my gun's doing to make my gun do what I want it to do with all the things around me. I've got to keep track of the 180. Like, there's a lot of stuff that is component skill based that's directly applicable. There's no way anybody can say that it's bad for a combative shooter, a military member or a cop or something like that. No way.
Well said. Thank you.
So having served in the military and understanding the constraints that our younger guys have, what recommendations would you give them to maximize their training efforts? Time for live fire, dry fire, how to train when preparing for specific matches or even missions while you were operational.
Dry fire, first of all, dry fire. Me personally, I bought a rifle and a pistol exactly like what I carried. When I had, an M4 and a Beretta, I had an M4 and a Beretta. When I went to the unit, I had an M4 in 1911. I had an M4 in 1911. It looked identical. It was a carbon copy. You could look at my rifle at home and it looked exactly like my work gun minus the laser, right? And I dry fired with it. I did reloads. I did, I drew, I did transitions. Everything I could possibly do in dry fire, I did with an identical gun. I mean, there's a lot without ever dropping a hammer on a primer. There's tons of stuff that you can do that's weapons handling based and it's legitimately marksmanship based. But the dry fire piece, a lot of guys don't realize how important it is, to dry fire. And once you see the fruits of dry fire, once you dry fire a bunch and then you go to match, you're like, holy shit, like that legitimately works. It is enhanced. I haven't shot in 3 weeks and it enhanced my performance, then you're sold. But you got to get guys there. And they've got to have a mentorship that within the organization or have a friend that shoots with them that really emphasizes how important dry fire is, because that's where you're going to get your gains. Because you're going to be pressed for time. You got train ups, you got deployments, you got different things that you have to do on the military side. you're going to have to find a small sliver of time that you can do it in. It doesn't take a lot, but it takes a dedicated process. Like I have a dry fire regimen that I do, and it's very specific, and it's not 2 hours a day because I don't have 2 hours a day. It's 3 15-minute blocks. That's all I got. And they're not all together because attention span is an issue. And I want to separate the things that I'm doing. I want to separate if I'm doing, stuff from concealment, if I'm doing stuff from either a duty rig or from a sport rig. And then when I'm doing rifle stuff, I separate them all. So I focus for 15 minutes. My gray matter is doing this. They can easily do that. And so it's like the emphasis on it is important.
Well, I noticed, I saw on Instagram the other day, like one of the things that you do every single morning whenever you get up, or it's something that you just started doing, but you get up, you put your concealed carry rig on, and then you dry fire at a target that's what, 25 yards away?
20 yards away in my house, all the way front to back. Yep.
Yep. And then you have what, an index card there, and it's supposed to.
Yeah, I've got the head off a USPSA metric with a 3x3 post in the middle.
Yep. And you have to hit that in 1.5 seconds, speed and accuracy,
Yep. And with a red dot on a pistol, it gives me all the feedback I need. I don't need any dry fire trainers or none of that. That's the beauty of a red dot. I mean, you can still do it with irons, but you got to be I think you have to be a little more experienced, a little more focused to tell what you're really doing. But a red dot tells you, like, if you pull a trigger, that dot's jumping around. It gives you all the feedback you need. But it makes a massive, massive difference.
So one of the things I said this on a previous episode, but I also told this to a friend of mine. He was like, what's one thing that we could do, to help improve in the infantry, just get better with our weapons familiarization, handling, shooting, all that kind of stuff. And what I recommended to him is, I was like, what do we have on us all the time when we're in country? He's like, well, our weapon. I was like, exactly. You have your weapon on you 24/7. That weapon doesn't leave your sight. So whenever we're in the rear, why not have the guys get up, go to the armory, draw their weapons, and they have their weapons on them all freaking day? Is it time extensive? Sure, it is. But, what is it training you to do? Have your weapon on you at all time, become familiar with it all the time. It's like, why aren't we doing that? Machine gunners and mortarmen, they're doing their gun drills. Why can't we be doing our gun drills?
I agree. I would have a part of every day, a requirement in the infantry, especially, infantry reconnaissance, that whole side of it. It should be a requirement. You get up in the morning, you go to PT, whatever, you do your PT, however you structure that, whether it's an organized one or it's by squad or team or whatever. When you get done, you draw your weapons from the arms room, you go to the armory, draw your weapons, and you dry fire for 20 minutes. Everybody does it, period. Everybody dry fires. No, it's not conditional. It's not, we're going to do it today. No, part of the training schedule is you get up in the morning, like if it's still the way it is when I was in the fucking Corps, you get up in the morning, you do PT, that's just the standard. And then at the end of PT, you dry fire. And then when that's done, you turn your weapons into the armory and you go back, you get cleaned up, and it's the first call for whatever you got going on. But that way, every single person does it, and you have a battery, like we're going to do reloads. We're going to do, you have these are things that you do X amount. I know that they had it in the shooting packages, they had drill cards and stuff like that. You can set it up so we do the following things. You get timers, so they're part times on it. Like you got to be able to reload your rifle in X amount of times. You have to be able to clear a malfunction, tap rack in X amount of time. But you're giving them, there's a culture of dry fire that's being built into the organization, and their standards. This is what we establish as standards. Okay, like you need to be able to reload your rifle, a bolt forward reload in your rifle in X amount of time. Well, now it's up to the team leaders and the squad leaders and the platoon sergeants to enforce that. But what you're doing at the ground level is building a culture of weapons handling and a familiarity. What that translates to is efficiency on target. Yeah, absolutely. But what it also translates to, because I'm the king of selling shit to hire, safety. People aren't pulling triggers and having negligent discharges and all that because they know how to manage their guns. Because when I was in recon, if I was walking around and my finger was on a trigger or a weapon was on fire when it wasn't supposed to be, there's a friggin' staff sergeant or gunny in my ass with both boots, and I was pushing the earth for a while. Like that shit wasn't tolerated. Like what, you're unaware of what's happening to your rifle. It's just some shit you're carrying around like a sandwich. Like I remember getting tuned up one time, and after that I was like, okay. I brought, just tell a story. I brought a rifle down and didn't put it on safe. So I drove my rifle up, put it on fire, and drove it down and put it on safe 1,000 times in a row. 1,000 times in a row. It's facing the wall in Okinawa. And what did I never do the rest of my entire life? Bring a rifle down without putting it on safe. It wasn't fun. After 1,000, I could barely lift my arms up to brush my teeth. But the bottom line is, The corrective training served a purpose. That kind of stuff. It was that enforced. Now, when you build a culture of dry fire in an organization, that's tied to PT, fitness, weapons handling, infantrymen. Like, come on, it all goes together. That to me is the way to do it. I think that would solve a tremendous amount of problems, and it would give a glide path to a really effective, ground combat element.
So kind of switching gears to yourself now.
Mhm.
Can you tell us about CTT-Solutions and the type of training that you offer?
Yeah,
And how did it come about?
it came about. I was working for VTAC, and I wound up leaving and going out off on my own. And I started out with a contract with Border Patrol. I was actually contracted to the team that, Brian Terry, rest his soul, who was a Marine as well, former Marine, was killed during the whole Fast and Furious thing. I was contracted to his team for a year, and then I got kind of tied in with BORTAC, and I was teaching rifle classes, pistol classes for them. That was the beginning of my business, and then I kind of leaned harder into the civilian kind of the retail market because it was a lot larger. And then I've come full circle, and now I do almost entirely law enforcement, like almost entirely. But I do a lot of pistol red dot stuff and concealment stuff. Concealment stuff was kind of my thing. I do a lot of that. Rifle stuff is not as common, but pistol stuff is really common. So the focus is on that. I also do vehicle stuff now because there's a lot of crap in the industry on the vehicle side. There's one particular purveyor of it that's, spends a shitload of time that, teaching people how to fight from the front seat, which doesn't work in real life. So to get away from that whole idea that vehicles are some kind of special thing, I just, because I ran in vehicles in Iraq for 2 years, soft skin vehicles in the Sunni Triangle. There's stuff about it, like the whole vehicle CQB bullshit. It's just exterior fighting. It's just maneuver. You're just fighting outside around vehicles. If it's not moving, it's just terrain. And fighting around terrain is fighting around terrain. If you understand tactics and maneuver and flanks and angles, then you know how to fight outside. I don't care if it's a dumpster or a truck. It's the same fucking thing. Okay. So it's that part of it, bringing that to law enforcement. And my partner that teaches with me he's a cop out in Long Beach, but he was an infantryman in the Corps for 6 years before that. And we teach together. So he bridges the cop world and the freaking 0311 side. So we got a good thing going. And that's a new push that I'm doing because I just want to get it out there because, violence is getting pretty bad against cops, and they need something more than just, some stylized, cool Instagram looking stuff. They need fighting skill.
So you brought it up, the stylized, cool Instagram style stuff. On the Staker podcast, you called it entertainment, I believe.
Yeah,
which is a great term. So why do you think, out of all the individuals going out to look for training, some of them will show up kind of like pulled in by that kind of Instagram theatrics? Why do you think that's become so pervasive, and why are we seeing that so prevalent in people going out to get gun training?
Well, I think there's a portion of it that is based on experience. Okay, a lot of guys that I know that have been overseas in the military. A lot of cops that I know that have been in OISs before, have been in critical situations before, that are lethal and gun related, knife related, that kind of stuff. They're like everybody else. It's a theory. Like violence is kind of a theory. Fighting other human beings like until they're dead is a theory. Once you live it, it changes you. Like you look at training differently. Like, wow, I don't know anybody that's ever been in a TIC or ever been in an OIS that goes, yeah, I had that shit covered. I was good. At the end of it, you're like, whoa, man, I didn't see that. Like, I thought I was better at that than I was. Or, man, I didn't even see that coming. Like, there's always something to learn. But what the biggest thing that I see that people learn on the experience that are experienced is that there's shit that I don't know, and I can never be too good or too fast or too accurate. On the other side, there's people that are wanting to feel empowered and wanting to feel cool and wanting to feel, and it's like, it is entertaining and fun. They look at trainings, oh, it's so cool, it's so badass. And the people that have a different view of it because they've experienced that life go, will this help me, or this is a waste of time? And so it's been sold. It's a marketing tool that tries to catch you. It's chewing gum for the eyes, and it pulls these people in. It's like, oh, you're going to run around and shoot through windshields. You're going to do all these mag dumps and run around and shoot from the ground and all. Just learn how to stand up and shoot fast and accurate with a rifle first, and then we'll make it harder on you. But it's all component stuff. The magic is there's no magic. It's simple shit. But you have to work hard at it, and they're looking for the easy button, the shortcut, and it comes across in video. I'm going to teach you to be a super duper hero in 2 days, and it's not. It's selling. I call it selling magic. That's what they're doing. They're selling magic to people that want to believe, and it's effective. That's why marketing's effective.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, that's on the instructor side. Would you say on this, like on the participant side, I would characterize them in two categories. Either you show up and you're ready to be a student, or you're there because, like what you said, you kind of want to be a tourist, right? You want this vicarious experience. You want this proximity to masculinity. You want to be part of that cool crowd.
It's
go ahead.
Oh no, just real quick. What I see with that is I see there's a validation that people get from it, and I call it shooting for trinkets. And I kind of bash it. And some of my friends do it in their businesses, and I got it. And I'm not meaning it as a pejorative on them because it's a marketing thing, but I don't shoot for trinkets. I don't need patches or badges or coins or coffee cups or secret underwear or fucking anything. I just want to shoot better. Like, I just want to shoot better. And like, I'm not going to be your dancing monkey so I can get your trinket. I'm just not. And I think it's silly because people do that, and it's a badge of honor for them. Look, I have this trinket. Like, go to a USPSA match. I just posted a thing about that. Like, dude, I went to a USPSA match in San Diego, got my ass handed to me by a freaking, like a little beach bunny and freaking boy shorts and an Under Armour jog bra and a dude that came off oxygen to shoot the stage, along with all the other guys that could bang. Like, and I showed up and I was like, I just got my ass handed to me. I need to get better at this. Like, I don't want to just go somewhere to feel good about myself. I want to be better. And by default, I'll feel good. So they're looking for something that validates them and that doesn't involve really a tremendous amount of work. And that's the part that they miss. The magic is that it's hard work. That's where you're gaining the people that go there for the entertainment side of it, to be empowered or validated or part of that thing, or all aren't really serious about shooting. They want to have fun, and it includes guys.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt, sidebar. He mentioned like magical underwear. What if we start giving out special pairs of silkies to people who have competition?
Oh,
secret underwear, bro.
I did have a lucky pair of underwear that I wore on every mission I went on in Iraq back in 2005.
Hey man, gotta have rabbit's foot, dude.
Oh yeah,
gotta have rabbit's foot.
I was forced to throw them away after the deployment.
Yeah,
the luck has run its course. But Matt, we're going to talk about that.
A set of silkies with I can bang on the back.
That might make its way into a different demographic, Mike.
Yeah, I was gonna say that might be what I have to put on the front. I don't know.
That's a multi-purpose set of.
That might be just for the Navy. I don't know. Did I just say that? I'm sorry, Navy guys. Love you guys, honestly.
No, it's all good. Oh man, that's hilarious.
Okay. I told you, still got some Lance Corporal in me, bro.
I think the title of this episode is going to be "I Can Bang."
Yeah, fantastic. Last question I had for you is from the instructor point of view. How regularly do you attend classes yourself to try to learn new things? And who are some instructors that you hold in pretty high regard?
I attend as often as I can, honestly. Guys that I've done at different kind of skill venues. I mean, I've done classes with Ben Steger, obviously, JJ Rukaza. I've done it with my buddy Matt Franca from X-Ray, and I've done it with Craig Douglas. So those are the 4 that I've gone to. And so I like to go out and I like to shoot with people and see what they see in me. Let them coach me. Be a student. I mean, it's a good thing to go out there and check your shit at the door and just go. I'm just going to shoot. I don't shoot against. I mean, I shot with Alex Goki when I was out there. He's a friend of mine, but it's good to shoot against people that are just your peers. Like, hey, it's just a dude. We're just hanging out, 2 jarheads doing our thing. And they'll look at you and they'll evaluate you in a way that you won't evaluate yourself because you can't see yourself. And even if you video yourself, I don't see, when I look at a video, the same stuff that Ben sees or JJ sees or Matt sees. And it's important. The guys that don't do that, like, I know that it's the thing that some people don't want to take, or I don't take classes, or I don't want to take classes. I don't care. If I think I'll benefit from it and by default benefit my patrons, my clientele, then I'll do it. And it's fun for me. I like being a student once in a while and not being in charge of shit. So yeah, as often as I can, I definitely, I'll definitely go out and shoot, and I'll shoot with, anybody that has demonstrated that they they know something that maybe I don't, or they have a quality or an attribute that I admire. I'll go, wow, I want to shoot with them and see how they got that or where they got that.
And I think firearms instruction is particularly difficult because like it's so personal, right? You can't see what your students seeing through their sights, and you are in some way relying on them to be honest and also present in order to tell you what they're experiencing.
Yeah,
can you talk about like one thing that you've taken from another instructor most recently that you've started applying to your own shooting?
Absolutely. I've taken it, and it's come from three guys, but it's all part of a little cabal. And it's, I think, the real focus I've gotten initially was from Matt at X-Ray, Matt Franca, was the visual piece. I've really focused on the visual piece because I understood it, but I didn't really understood it until I started putting emphasis on it and started looking at the kind of gains that I was getting and my visual perception of the targets. I was just down in Houston teaching a class, and I was shooting doubles, coming off the draw, shooting doubles with 25 splits, consistent 25 splits at 10 in the head. And when it, when you're doing something, you kind of get it. When it clicks, all of a sudden it's perfectly clear. You're like, oh shit, I thought I had it, but now I actually understand it, because as I was shooting with really strict disciplined target focus, I was literally seeing the bullets hit. I knew exactly. I drew one, 2, and if I looked off the gun, I go, I know exactly where they are. Like if you could plug a thumb drive in my head, you'd see it. Like I knew exactly where it was. I knew when I threw it. I knew where it was. I knew if it was on the line. And that visual piece, once you get it, is massive when it comes to speed, because your processing speed directly, is reflected in your scores and times. And that I got, it's been reinforced through all three guys, through Matt, through Ben Steger and Joel Park. All three of those guys hit that really hard. I really got the first emphasis on it shooting with Matt out at one of his courses. When I went out there, he was out in Casa Grande. I went out and shot with him, and he was talking the piece, but then when I was shooting, he was going, listen, this is what I see you doing. He was critiquing me, and I was like, it's fucking awesome. So that's, to me, that has been a game changer on it, because I understood it. Understanding it and being able to actually apply it and see it in process are very different. So yeah, that's the recent like quantum shift in how I train myself came from Matt and Ben and Joel.
Yeah, I took a class from Ben a few weeks ago, and I would say visual specificity, dot occlusion, and there's quite a few things I got from him. Also, that guy's just amazing instructor. Definitely. Again, but
and it's funny, like the dot occlusion. I shot one of my friends down at TTPOA, had an SRO on a 2011, and he had an included dot because operationally he's like, sometimes I'm looking into the sun, like I lose the dot. I have no dot at all. He just closed off the front for training, and then he realized, shit, I shoot just as good, and it mitigates any issues I have from the sun. So I grabbed his pistol. I'm like, I only got one eye, but fuck it, let me see if I can figure this out. And what I did is I put the dot right at the top of the window, and then I put it so I was looking over the top of the glass at the target. And I had him video me. I could bang. I was hammering targets with an occluded dot with only one eye. And then what I got from that, could just trying shit that you're not supposed to be able to do, but you're like, I'm too stupid not to try. I'm like, all of a sudden I was like, all of a sudden I understood target focus, because literally with only one eye, I can either look at the target or I can look at the dot. Pick one. I can't, there's no way I can look at both. And when I looked over the top, I instantly, boom, understood target focus. That kind of stuff is like, and that's something that Ben and Joel and Matt push really hard as well. There's a new horizon in the shooting side, technology wise and understanding wise, that I mean, a lot of people are doing it. Those three just happen to be friends of mine. But I mean, there's a lot of people pushing it. I think that the plank owners are those three guys on that, really.
Yeah. I actually had my dot occluded for all of Area 5 except for one stage.
Yeah, if I still had a functional right eye, I absolutely would. I think it makes sense. The Armson OEG was the occluded eye gun sight. They fielded that on the Sante prison raid for a reason, because all of a sudden out of nowhere, it was super fast in low light. And you couldn't see through it. It was completely occluded. So it's like the technology has proven to be effective on combat operations since 1970. Like this isn't new. We're all of a sudden like Back to the Future,
So I got to ask then, why do you think we keep forgetting these lessons? I mean, it happened whenever, we could go back to Vietnam War. There was a counterinsurgency handbook that was written, but then we completely forgot all about it because we went back to training conventional style, and then okay, the global war on terrorism kicked off, and we're in Iraq, we're in Afghanistan, and the Secretary of Defense is like, oh, we need to write a book on counterinsurgency, and his advisor was like, we have a book on counterinsurgency. It was written back in the 1960s or 1970s.
Yeah.
It's that book right there that's collecting dust on your bookshelf. So why do you think these lessons that we have learned are constantly being lost?
I think it's because the training required to sustain that knowledge effectively is difficult, and it can get expensive. The more dynamic it becomes, the more it becomes. Counterinsurgency that's a whole process. How you run a counterinsurgency takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and there's just no dedication to it. You go back to the shooting piece, like when I was a kid, because I was like, told my dad someday I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be in the Marine Corps. Sure shit I was. And I remember him telling me something. He said, if you don't remember anything, he goes, someday you're going to go to war. Like if you're in the Corps, you're going to go to war someday. He was right. He said, just remember one thing. Just keep shooting until the problem's solved. It's like you don't shoot once, you don't shoot twice. You just keep shooting people until they're not a problem anymore. I was like 12 years old. I'm like, okay, whatever. It didn't make any sense to me. And that was something that he learned from his platoon sergeant, who was a Raider in World War II. It's like, you just keep shooting. You don't just shoot once and see what happened. You keep shooting until you know the problem solved, and then you move on to something else. And it's like, that was something obviously they knew it in World War II. They knew it in Korea. Like, people learned that on the ground. It was never put into a manual. Where did you ever see a manual in the Marine Corps? I never saw one in the Marine Corps or the Army where it said, just keep engaging that target with your rifle until it drops.
Nope, it was never in a manual. They brought on failure to stop, and the whole failure to stop drill was, shoot at the chest, one in the head. Well, from what I heard is that came about because they wanted to conserve ammo. But failure to stop originally came about during the Rhodesian Wars in Africa, and it was because all those guys were drugged up and hopped up on drugs, and it was, you're shooting the enemy until they are no longer a threat.
Here's the thing, to me too, when they do the whole failure drills and two to the body, one to the head, why not just shoot them in the fucking head? Like, if I'm going to shoot two to the body, one to the head, why don't I just shoot you in the head? Why don't I just skip the part that I don't think is going to work and go to the part that I know is going to work, or find another spot that I know you can't have armored, like your pelvis or your legs or the ball joints, get a mobility kill, and then finish you. Like, fighting's fighting, man. It's nothing fancy. It's the dirty business that we do. But I look at it and go, you don't understand what you're trying to do. Oh, two to the body, one to the head. You just, okay, is that even realistic? Is it, if you shoot two to the body on somebody and it doesn't work, they're not going to be there for you to shoot one in the head.
No,
nobody sticks around when you shoot at them. Like, not from my experience. So the minute the bullets start flying, people are running. So like, when are you really doing this? And what are you really doing? And if you think that they might have armor, or they might have a freaking body bomb or something like that, shoot them in the pelvis, shoot them in the femurs, that area. Okay, shoot them in the head, whatever. But it's like, now it's the training piece. That takes time. That takes effort. That takes understanding. That takes a lot of practice. And I think that's why the lessons, back to what you said, lessons aren't passed on because they take effort to do it. And you know what? It takes a long time. And we need to get guys to the range. We need to get them qualified. We need to, the train's got to keep going. We got to do all the mundane stuff that has to get done as per commander's requirements. And training gets hacked off. It gets cut first thing. Because you can't, and this is something that's a mantra of mine, you can't see proficiency. I can't look at a Marine and go, that guy can really shoot well. But when he doesn't know how to shoot well, I can see it. It jumps out at you. Like, it's a lack of proficiency is really obvious in application,
So talking about training and talking about goals, for you specifically, what are some of your upcoming goals this season?
Make GM this year. And I want to make GM in carry optics and PCC. So I looked at, because I'm master in limited 10 in production. I'm closer in those ones right now. But the dots that's the way of the future. That's where it's all going. Seeing a pistol without a dot on it in 5 years is going to be like seeing an M4 without a dot on it, or some sort of optic. That's just where it's going. Iron sights are over. They're gone. Yeah, they're a legacy item. People shoot them because it's kind of retro and fun and all that. Yeah, I've got red dots on pistols with 65,000 rounds on them. They're more than reliable enough. Like, So that's where it's going. That's where, for me, business-wise, the market is going, and it's more fun. I like shooting red dots more than I like shooting iron sights, and so I want to make jam in that. And I like shooting PCC because I can do all my rifle training on pistol steel at like super speed work at short distances. It's cheaper than 5.56, and I don't have to have that standoff. I don't have to have frangible. I can use whatever steel is available at my club, and it's not a problem. So it's like I get all the rifle training I need out of PCC overwhelmingly, except for distance. If I'm shooting like a rifle match, I'm going to have 100 to 400 yard shots. Then I got to go out and shoot 5.56. But other than that, I can do everything I need, the visual portion of it, mounting the rifle, all that with 9mm. So
Talking about,
to me, it absolutely has a direct application to what I want to achieve overall with a long rifle, with long gun.
so talking about red dots real quick, I know the FBI is already currently transitioning all their special agents over to red dot sites. How fast have you seen, or how fast do you see a lot of your local and state PDs switching over to red dots?
It's really interesting because the ones that it's two ends of the spectrum. There are people that resist it, like they resist it, even though the data's there, they'll resist it. And then there are people on the other side that will look. I know you know that one. There are people that'll look at the different organizations that have fielded it, like right off the bat. Okay, we got red dots now. The LAPD, I believe, just went to them with the 509s, and they're looking at the enhanced capabilities and the officer survivability and all that stuff. It enhances the safety and the effectiveness of the officer, especially in low light, where most of the engagements are for law enforcement. On the other side, and I've sat down, I've briefed a couple different like sheriffs and chiefs of police and stuff like that about red dots and like why they should be fielding. So they asked, like, hey, can you give my chief a talk about like red dots on pistols and why we should have them? And I'll sit there and explain all targeting and precision and the way it enhances your ability to see precisely at distance and all that. And on all of them, I've done it 4 times now. There've been 3 people in the room: the chief, a deputy chief / bean counter, and a dude in board shorts and a t-shirt with a wad of Copenhagen in his lip with a beard. And I'm like, okay, so I walk in, it's like, okay, the usual suspects. I sit down, the chief's like, oh, I'm chief so-and-so, or I'm sheriff so-and-so. And I talk to him, and he looks at it when I explain it. He goes, wow, our qualification rates will go way up. The bean counter goes, wow, that's going to double the price of the gun. The dude with the dip in board shorts and a freaking t-shirt goes, damn, I'll bet that's badass in low light. And I'm like, okay, now I see where everybody's emphasis is. The guy on the ground, okay, the guy delivering is like, wow, I'll be able to shoot better. I'll be more effective in my environment using this tool. The guy that's worried about spreadsheets is going, it's going to double the price of the gun and then the logistics and how we get them fixed. And then the guy that's at the top is going, it's going to make my agency look good and it's going to increase qualification rates. And that's the problem. If you just look at performance, operational performance of the device, there's no reason not to go to red dots. None. There's zero. It's already vetted. Mild unit's been using for freaking how many years now? Like 14 years in combat. Like it's proven its capability. People are resisting because they just don't want to do it. And then you get people that go up and shoot and they suck with a red dot because they don't hold the pistol consistently, and they can get away with a sloppy grip with iron sights because you can see the iron sights the whole time that gun's moving. In recoil, I can see the iron sights. When the dot's gone, it's gone. So if you hold the pistol like a small child and it runs away from you, then you're like, oh, I shoot better with iron sights. Like, I think there's a lack of honesty and humility when it comes to that. Like, it's a new device. I got to learn how to do it.
Well, I think we can all agree. A lot of it comes down to people who are making the decisions, and coming up with this training aren't fully qualified or fully understand what it is that needs to be achieved. I mean, they just don't. And it's at all levels, whether it's military, law enforcement, whatever. It's like people making decisions are like, yeah, I don't see the point of this. No, we're not doing this just yet.
Or they say, let's get a certain item. Like my thing now, that 6.8 rifle in the military, that's the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard in my life. You're going to give me a really heavy gun that only has 20 round magazines. That's a $3,000 gun. And then you're going to give a guy, $8 worth of freaking marksmanship training. Like, great. You can shoot, the gun can shoot at 1,000 yards, but the guy holding it can't. And in a close in fight, I want a shitload of bullets that I can shoot really fast. and a gun that's really light because I'm gonna be climbing over walls and running around like a fucking madman. Like, why do I want this giant gun? Like, what do you like? If you're going to do that, field it as a sniper support weapon, or take the barrels out of 240s and put 6.8 barrels in because the case head's the same. It won't be anything. M13 links work on the same case. Okay, we could easily take 308 out, 7.6251 out, and put the new 6.8 in. That wouldn't be that hard, and it would make sense. It's ballistically, it's a better cartridge. Fielding everybody with a battle rifle that's that big and that heavy and that expensive is, to me, it's like you're missing the freaking boat.
You said something that really stuck out to me because it was a lesson I was given back in 2011, 2012 timeframe. I had a gunner, really well respected guy, but he said, he asked a question. He's like, "Hey, what's the max effective range of 240?" People said, he's like, "Wrong. The max effective range of a 240 is whatever it is in the hands of the person operating it."
Mm-hmm.
So
Dude, shoot. I don't know if you ever got a chance to shoot any deflate fire. I did it in Canada, shooting deflate fire with a freaking 240 on a tripod or quad pod.
Yeah,
the Germans were doing it in World War. Dude, it's an IDF. You're shooting IDF at freaking 2,000 meters. Like, well, okay, that's the max effective range now. Like,
yeah,
again, you like you said, I agree with them 100%. It's the guy behind the gun. That's what the max effective range is driven by.
yep. And we were doing we learned how to shoot 203s like a mortar. Like,
Yeah.
Hey, take a sling, freaking figure out what the dope is, put a line on it, and then that's your range estimation right there. And you shoot it like a mortar.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's like that's training. You get that the enhanced capabilities when you have that kind of proficiency are unbelievable, but they only come with dedicated, focused training that is repeatable. And it's like, but the back on the kit side, like buying a rifle, dude, take all that money and put it into training. Like get rid of every 20-inch gun. I would get rid of all the 14.5s. I would have 16-inch mid-length gas guns. Got the best of both worlds. You can still do all kinds of freaking close-in stuff with it. You can get in and out of vehicles with it. You got better ballistics. It's a softer shooting gun that's easier on the parts. It's a non-NFA item. So, I mean, if one gets lost or stolen, like I just look at it and go, like, the upper is, it's like, it's commercial off the shelf. Everybody's using them. They're trying to find a widget to take the place of proficiency.
They're putting a Band-Aid on the problem.
Yeah, you put a 16-inch gun on there with a aim point or an EOTech, or even if you want to go with a 1-4 or 1-6, okay, you want to go with some glass, got it. That would be infinitely cheaper than fielding an entire new weapon system, an entire new caliber. Think of all the training that guys could do. It would be unbelievable. The enhanced capabilities would be unprecedented. But instead, we're going to spend $1 billion on freaking a new rifle with the same training. Like, it'll be maybe enhanced a little bit. I mean, it's like, again, we're trying to purchase proficiency through equipment. It's like that technology and proficiency are two different things. Proficiency, exploits technology. Technology by itself is like anything times 0 is 0. It's a math problem. Like, I don't see that kind of stuff. And it's back to what you said. The people making the decisions are not asking the people on the ground, what do you really need? I mean, I could go, like, I was in this a long time. I look at saws, 249s. Replacing that 249 with a magazine fed gun was stupid. It was fucking stupid.
Thank you.
Making the Mark 46 where they welded up the magazine hole was stupid because the problem was the feed angle. And I remember in the friggin' 80s, we learned, hey, just pull back on the magazine. If you got to use 5.56 mags, just pull back. It changes the feed, or push forward. It changes the feed angle, points it towards the chamber, works perfectly fine. Mr. Fuller at 2nd Ranger Battalion used to machine the feed ramps on them, and they could run magazines without ever touching them on their saws in freaking 2nd Ranger Battalion. And we shoot those guns, we shoot the receivers out of them, and then we wonder why they dump links inside of it. Like, you passed the life of the gun. Like, you buckled the receiver. Why do I know this stuff? And the military is like not doing it. Like, the saw was a brand new saw is freaking awesome. Why do we replace a baby belt fed gun with a gun that takes magazines? It just doesn't. To me, you can't justify it. I can sit in a room with anybody and argue that because you didn't ask guys on the ground who had a logical opinion based on experience. And it's the same. It's why we train the way we train. It's why we procure the equipment the way we procure. Because the people making the decisions aren't people that shoot, or now aren't people with combat experience, or have very limited combat experience. And if they were in a combat environment, it was in a managerial position. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to talk to a guy who was a freaking platoon leader, you know, in Fallujah, or a company commander in Ramadi. Okay, I want to talk to him when he gets promoted up the chain and he's a colonel or whatever. But I don't want to talk to a guy that was in some sort of admin job or logistics job. I'm sorry, man. Nothing, no offense to you, brother, but like you just don't get it. And we're going to buy things that aren't really usable because it theoretically makes sense. And that's training, that's equipment, that's all of it.
Yeah, you blessed my heart with saying that, you know, the 249 is like you know, getting rid of it is the biggest mistake. And I agree. My 5 foot midget ass, 5 foot nothing midget ass, you know, carried that saw on my first deployment to Iraq, and that was my baby. I loved it.
Yeah.
I was good at it. If you know how to operate it, if you know how to maintain it, you know how to clean it, you do everything you need to do, it's going to run for you every single time.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you what, I mean, when I was out in 05 I mean, specifically with the Marines and Airborne, dude, those things were money. Those things they are super effective because they're light and you can carry a shitload of ammo. Everybody crossloads, everybody's got a drum on them. Dude, you can run that thing hard. I saw guys carrying 2 and 3 barrels, carrying extra barrels in case we get in it hard, man. I got extra barrels. I got a barrel. My AG's got a barrel, or the guy who was designated, even though it's not really an AG for a saw. And one of the guys in the squad had an extra barrel. Why? Because why not? It doesn't cost anything. And if you burn up a barrel or something happens, a case gets stuck, some weird shit happens, just throw the barrel in and fucking toss it on the ground. Who cares? But it's like, it's a little baby machine gun and it works good. Like I looked at that and said, you replaced it with something that was probably as expensive, but not nearly as effective.
To ask, what area of Anbar were you in during that time?
All
like
over.
I was, yeah.
Everywhere.
So
Yeah.
I spent most of my time between, you know, I was 3rd Battalion, 2nd Marines, so we're in Al Qaim area. But we jumped over to Al Assad to run some missions in that area. And then we also went down to Habaniya and Haditha and did missions out of there.
I was at, let's see, obviously, Fallujah, Ramadi, Al Qaim. I was at KV at Korean Village. I was in Rupa. I was in the Heat. I was in Habaniya. I was in Iskandariyah. I was in where else did we go that I can think of off the top of my head? Because they would push me out to firm bases.
Okay.
So those are the big ones I think off the top of my head. It was fucking 17 years ago now. But I was all over. That's all that my team worked at Anbar. So what we do is figure out who was getting beat up by IEDs, and we just go out and look at what they were doing, you know, as far as their TTPs, and see if there's something that, you know, any patterns that we were recognizing that were problematic with how they, like I was with one unit that kept turning around. They hit the edge of their battle space and they would turn around in the same spot every time. Like, have you lost your mind? Like, there's track marks where you turn around. Are you serious?
That sound like 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, maybe?
I'm not saying motherfucking word. I plead the 5th and shit. But yeah, it's like little stuff like that. And it was, you know, and there was like, you'd see people do stuff that, you know, that didn't make any sense when I was over there. I saw a part of the military. I saw some amazing things, some action, some things that guys did that were like you're not going to get anything for that, but you should get a valorous award for it because you're just doing your job. But this is a little, you know, watching people run back and forth across fire-swept streets, bringing freaking ammo and med supplies back and forth from building to building, like, because that particular dude, man, I asked him, like, bro, you bucking for a Medal of Honor or some shit? He's like, yo, man, shit's got to get done. Walked away. Like, he's like, it wasn't a thing to him. It's just, this is what we do.
I'm doing my job.
And it was just impressive to see. It was impressive to see. Like, so yeah. But it was an experience for me because I went right into reconnaissance. So I never spent a day in the regular military other than when I was cut to like the grunts and stuff like that. We did like a cross training thing before a float or something like that. But other than that, I was a recon guy the whole time. As a, you know, I was an 0311 and then 0321 before it became its own MLS.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, you mentioned your goals are to make GM, carry optics, and PCC.
Mm-hmm.
What does your upcoming match schedule look like?
Right now, I'm actually moving. I'm buying a new house and moving, so I got to figure it out. But this winter, I'm going to shoot everything that's temperate, everything that I can shoot without, you know, above 45 degrees Fahrenheit. So it'll be Utah, Nevada, and Arizona.
Okay, and then you said your first USPSA match was in San Diego. Was it at Pala by any chance?
What's that?
Was it at Pala by any
Mm-hmm.
chance? Okay, that's where I got my start.
Yeah. I just drove down. I was like, I'd shot some in Washington State. I'd shot some in North Carolina. And then I went and shot that one right when I got out, right when I medically retired. And yeah, it was like a little wake up call. And then went back and retooled a little bit, and yeah, got back in on it. I enjoyed it. It's fun for me. I mean, aside, it's like, yeah, it's work related for me and stuff like that. And if you're active duty, it's work related there. It's just fun. It's just a good time. It's really, it's my golf, you know?
Well, the way I look at it is like, I hated shooting when I was a junior Marine. I absolutely hated it. And I'm a grunt, but there was a reason why I hated it, because the way the Marine Corps ran the shit, they made it in such a regimented way to where it sucked the life out of everything. But, whenever I started shooting 3-gun back in 2014, it became fun because there were rules in place, but there weren't rules where it was so regimented that it became miserable. So what was once miserable became like this heavenly space for me.
Yeah. If they do it, if they run it right, like we had the guys out for it's called CATC, Combat Applications Training Course. We had guys in the 82nd out. We treated them like fucking grown men. Like we weren't, there wasn't all, there wasn't constant ready on the right, ready on the left, rotting everybody. And like everybody was like, hey man, I used to say it all the time. We give our safety brief and I go, here's the overarching principle. Don't do dumb shit with guns because we'll tune you up. Okay. And everybody knows what dumb shit with guns is. That's like pointing them at and or discharging them at shit that shouldn't have guns pointed at or discharged at. Don't violate that and you're cool. If you violate that, you're going to know about it. Okay. We're going to fix that. If you make a mistake and we ask you what you did wrong, just go, I fucked this up. And we'll go, okay, cool. Let's not do that again. If you do it again, you can't self-correct. We got a problem. But it's like, we just treated them like freaking, like infantrymen, like grown men that are soldiering. And we had no problems with it. We didn't have any issues. It's like, but if you constantly dumb that down and you make it miserable and you make it ineffective. And it's like it's like, I don't know. Like I love going to the range, but I hated going to the rifle range in the Marine Corps. It's a pain in the ass. It's a giant pain in the ass.
Which I got to ask this question to Frank. Frank, what was the first time you actually had fun on a range in the Marine Corps?
Even with all the bullshit that went down, it's probably at McEast when you and I first met.
Mike, if you're wondering, McEast is like Marine Corps marksmanship competitions. That's where.
Yeah. I've actually seen videos of it, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
It's very awesome.
It's like we treat the Marines like they're adults that they are. And, we tell them, hey, these are the constraints that you have to operate within, but go out there, come up with a plan and shoot your game.
Yeah. You could easily create a marksmanship culture around that, I believe, by having it, there's prizes to it, so to speak. Like, if nothing else, hey, if you shoot this stage do it by hit factor. Okay, if you are 75% of the top shooter, you get a freaking 72. You get, you know what I mean? Like there's something to it. Like, hey, if you work hard, if you're kicking ass, guess what? You get a freaking 96. You got 4 days off. You got a long weekend. Like something that says, hey, listen, there's a benefit. We're not just this is important and all that. But we're building a culture where people they're earning something from it. Like somehow make it, where you do it by freaking like squads. Like if you got to have 3 or 4 guys from your squad go and shoot it. If they're the top team, they have a combined score. They're the top team. Everybody in that squad gets this freaking 72. Gets Friday off. Like something somehow. But you got to rotate guys in. You can't have the same 3 guys. You got to rotate guys in. Everybody's got to get a chance. So now everybody has to compete. But you're shooting for the team. You're shooting for our squad. If you guys kick ass, we get Friday off, or we get Monday off. Like something like that. That is the. Like you got to throw some candy in it to bring them in, and then eventually it just becomes a culture. It becomes a part of the culture. Like I didn't be freaking. If I were the king, I'd be doing that shit.
I think we did. I think within the team, like in those who come out to the Marine Corps marksmanship competitions, because I'd say we have a bit of a following now. I would say that there's a constant following of the same names and the same people you see. And like you said, that is our culture now. Those are the people who understand, and those are the people who are bringing new people in. And I would love, now that, today was my last day going into work. So it's really going to be interesting seeing from the outside now and looking in, that culture continue to grow.
Yeah, that's good to see. That's good. It's because like I remember everybody. I remember after the first Gulf War, it's like, oh, well, we're never going to be in a major ground war again. We're never going to be in the Middle East again. Like, how'd that work out for us? Like,
10 years later.
yeah, I know. It's like, and then they're like, oh, there's never going to be another big urban fight where there's house to house fighting and stuff. We spent almost the entire time in Iraq doing that. Like,
Yep.
I mean, and then you look at how events just all of a sudden out of nowhere unfolds. Nobody foresaw 2 decades of war on 2 fronts. One was mountainous, was basically mountain warfare, and the other was both urban and desert.
Yep.
We did everything but jungle. The only thing we didn't have was jungle. Like, and that's probably coming. So like, yeah, there's the best time to prepare is pre. Like, we got a lull here. We got a breather. Let's like, get going there, guys. I just like I said, I see that when you're spending time, when the decision makers are more concerned about buying a rifle that doesn't really apply to the job, as opposed to revamping training while we've got time to figure it out. I don't understand it. I don't understand where like the motivation for that to make the equipment fix, knowing we learned in 20 years that the training piece, that guys that can think on the ground and can apply the equipment they have really well are unbelievably effective.
So I have to ask this then, because it's something that I believe, it's something I've noticed over the past, 10 years. Anytime, since the war has kind of started dying down and everything, the automatic response is whenever you go through your advanced school or whatever, you're going back and, the training turns back into conventional warfare. And by conventional warfare, you're back to the basics, World War II style. You're fighting, the Russians or the Chinese, what have you. But the way I kind of look at it is, why are we going back to something that we haven't necessarily done since the Korean War? Because we've been fighting unconventionally since the Vietnam War. So why do we keep going back to where we are? And the way I kind of look at it too, with especially the way we've been using special operations, is the unconventional has become the new conventional. So it's like, why do we keep backstepping rather than pushing forward?
I think it's historically because it's what people know, and because people will go that the evaluation template is based on what you grew up on, as opposed to going, what are we facing? So people, I remember when it was still the Cold War and all that shit, it was the Fulda Gap and fighting massive Russian armor and all that. You got area denial munitions and stuff. Now you can't mass forces anymore. You get butchered. You want to get a shitload of tanks. I mean, the only reason that the Russians got to have all those tanks on the road is because they weren't fighting anybody that had a game. That was the freaking road to Basra. That was like, you can't do that anymore. So all of a sudden it changes the way we fight. And then you look at the emerging threats. Like there was a complete unwillingness to look at the wars that we were in the way they needed to be fought, because there was a lot of people, and it's like, this is just my unvarnished 2 cents on it. A lot of guys wanted a battalion command or a division command in combat to put on their freaking OER. That's what they wanted. And the bottom line is that should have been a soft, specific war with regional QRFs. Think about if you put a freaking battalion of Marines with all the assets, all the armor, all the air, and all they do is fucking work out and do jujitsu and shoot and eat good food. And then when the call comes, they get on helicopters and they go fucking smash targets. Hey, we call a QRF. We've been sitting around for 7 days. Dudes are itching to go smash stuff. So we go. Yep. And if you did that, now you're not using all the assets to occupy the country. You have people out with the local forces doing third nation stuff and all that. Like, you look at it from the counterinsurgency perspective. Having a ton of people in Vietnam didn't work. It didn't work. It was a shitload of targets, and it was a huge manpower drain and a huge manpower loss that wasn't effective. And I know a guy that was there in the 60s. He's a really good friend of mine. That was in 3rd Recon with me. His dad was there in 63 as a Marine officer, and he's like, "Don't commit conventional forces. Do not have large-scale conventional forces. The special operations community dealing with the host nation is going to be far more effective. You're just going to make mistakes. You're going to piss people off. You're gonna have all kinds of trouble. It's like, but they wanted to fight conventionally. Historically, it wasn't done correctly. And that, to me, that's why we fall back on it, because it's what historically they know. And it's easier. Training for fighting a massed, World War II style fight is way easier than fighting an insurgency. It just is.
Mm-hmm. So I got to ask, before we take off, do you have any words of wisdom you'd like to leave the listeners with before we go?
It's freaking kind of tagline of my company, man. The magic is there is no magic. It's all hard work, and you've got to be objective. Look at your skills. If you suck at something, go, man, I suck at this. Work at it. Look at the application of what you're working on. Don't work on things because you think they're cool or because somebody else does them. Look at your own requirements or your own needs or your own weaknesses and go towards them. I mean, be a solitary hunter. Just learn how to perfect your own capabilities, and then bounce them off of somebody else's. Compare them and go, can I do this as good as him? Can I do that as good as him? Okay, got it. But just chasing somebody else's path isn't there. You gotta do the hard work, and you gotta be honest with yourself. You gotta be very objective about who you are and who you're not, and then remedy those or accentuate them. But there is no magic to it. It's hard work, man. It's a blue collar thing.
Well, I appreciate this. I know Frank appreciates it. This was a very good conversation with a lot of rabbit holes, which were really fun. But thank you. And to the listeners, I hope you enjoyed us. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions for Mike, we'll put his email down in the description. And everybody have a good one.